On top of today's news, Arroyo is facing plunder charges. The Office of the Ombudsman has charged former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo with plunder for allegedly misusing Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office funds during her incumbency. The plunder case against Mrs. Arroyo was filed before the Sandigan Bayan Anti-Graft Court last July 16 by Bayan Muna representatives Teodoro Casino and Nery Colmenares, according to Records Officer Marlene Valencia. Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, whose office is in charge of investigating government officials, called on an anti-graft court to file plunder charges against Arroyo and 9 other government officials. The Ombudsman said it had found Arroyo and others, formerly officials of the state lottery, as culprits in diverting about 366 million pesos in lottery funds from 2008 to 2010. The respondent series or combination of acts form a pattern of misuse and raid of lottery funds from 2008 to 2010, all the while taking advantage of their respective official functions. It did not say what became of the money, but Arroyo critics have alleged that it was used in the 2010 presidential and legislative elections. This is the first plunder case against Arroyo since she left the presidency. She is currently under hospital arrest in Quezon City's Veterans Memorial Hospital on charges of electoral sabotage. ASEAN wants to negotiate with China. There has been a meeting of the minds among the members of the nations of the Southeast Asian nations, or the ASEAN, on the proposed code of conduct in the West Philippine Sea, which could lead to a settlement of all Scarborough Shoal dispute, Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario said this week. Relations between the Philippines and China have been strained for the past few months over the shoal, which lies within the 200-mile territorial waters of the Philippines. China wants to settle that issue via bicameral talks, while Philippines has insisted that the multilateral solution was needed, owing to other nations having similar disputes over the territories scattered over the area. Vietnam, for one, had an unfriendly exchange of words with China last month over the portions of Spratly Islands, part of which are also claimed by the Philippines. Secretary Del Rosario called on the ASEAN to work together to implement the effective implementation of the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in South China Sea and eventual realization of an incredible and binding code of conduct that will help resolve the territorial issues in the region. China previously stated that it is prepared to discuss a more limited code aiming at building trust and deepening cooperation, but not one that settles the territorial disputes. We have the National Day of Prayer for Peace. China's public enemy number 1 is no longer the exiled human rights activist Chen Guocheng, but Lloyd Nicholas Lewis, the New York-based national chair of the U.S. Pinoys for Good Governance. After Lewis held a press conference in Manila last July 14th to announce a worldwide campaign to boycott made-in-China products, China's government-controlled media fired back with a newscast calling on all the Chinese people to boycott a chain of convenience store in China believed to be owned by Lewis. The Chinese are not happy with one particular Filipino, according to the English language translation of the nationwide newscast. The mastermind behind the calling on Filipinos throughout the world to carry out large-scale anti-China demonstrations was revealed to be Filipino-American Lloyd Nicholas Lewis, chair and CEO of TLC Beatrice China Limited, a Cayman company that operates retail convenience stores in 4 Chinese cities. Chinese citizens were shocked at this news and also urged a boycott of her business in China. Lewis also announced that her U.S. Pinoy group will initiate the Global Day of Prayer for Peace in the Scarborough shores on August 21st. Employers charged $10,000 to flee Syria. Philippine workers trying to flee the unrest in Syria are being charged up to $10,000 by their employers before they can leave, according to the Foreign Department in Manila last July 17. Syrian employers are demanding that they be refunded the large amount they paid for the deployment of Filipino workers. The problem now is that the employers are asking more money for the refund of the deployment costs. Before, it was about only $4,000 per worker, but now it's reaching up to $10,000. The Philippine embassy often had to negotiate with employers to accept a lower amount because the workers could not afford to pay that much. Another problem is that Filipino workers are continuing to arrive brought in by illegal labor recruiters in Syria, despite the violence happening in that country right now. The Philippines has already repatriated about 1,800 Filipinos from Syria, but is still processing the papers of more than 1,000 others. In June, the government estimated that there were about 7,000 Filipinos in Syria, but the Philippine government banned Filipinos working there and ordered a mandatory evacuation of its nationals there since last December, some 10 months after the uprising against the rule of President Bashar al-Assad broke out. About 9 million Filipinos work all around the world, earning more money in a wide range of skilled and unskilled jobs abroad than they could ever earn in their homeland. We have talks of an official Filipino town in Daly City, California. One municipality in the continental United States boasts of the concentration of Filipinos. In time, the City Council of Daly City may make it official and designate an area within its 7.7 square miles as its Filipino town. Perhaps Little Quezon City, or maybe Philippine Village, USA, or a similar name reflecting its dominant population originating from the Philippines. Credit goes to Vice Mayor Ray Benaventura, the council spokesman who introduced the proposal to the panel's study session last Monday, July 16. In other words, the proposal will have to go the distance in terms of community support. Philippine-born Benaventura requested the study session primarily to introduce his idea. The meeting ended with Mayor Sal Torres suggesting the formation of a committee he and Benaventura would head to study the matter further. According to Benaventura, the idea of a Filipino town has been slowly brewing in me for years. He says, "I've had many conversations with Filipinos in Daly City, California who feel the same way, and I thought it was now the right time to have this conversation and pursue this issue." And this has been your weekly news in review. This news has been brought to you by the premier Filipino-American newspaper here in the United States, the Philippine News. And on behalf of the management and staff of the Philippine News, this is David Rodriguez signing off and thanking everyone for listening. Maraming salamat po and have a wonderful week. Mabuhay po sa inyong lahat.